Tough to top the last couple of weeks for Jason Tatum. He wins his first NBA championship and now reportedly poised to land the biggest deal in league history, a 5-year Supermax extension with the Celtics worth between $314 and $315 million carrying through 2030. And sticking with the Celtics, they're also reportedly in agreement with Derek White on a 4-year extension for just under $126 million. That deal includes a player option. Meantime, the Celtics organization's going up for sale as their majority ownership group announced its intention to sell all shares of the team, beginning with a majority interest over the course of the next year or so. After 13 seasons with the Warriors, Klay Thompson has himself a new home, reportedly joining the defending Western Conference champion Mavericks on a 3-year, $50 million deal, also including a player option. Antonio Daniels on Sirius XM NBA Radio thinks it makes sense for both sides. This analysis and discussion continues on NBA Radio Channel 86. NHL free agency underway. The Nashville Predators stole the day, adding the trio of Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and defenseman Brady Shea. Also 57-goal scorer Sam Reinhart sticking with the Stanley Cup champion Panthers on an 8-year extension. Euro 2024, Ronaldo missed a PK in extra time. He was brought to tears only to score in the penalty shootout as Portugal advanced past Slovenia and into the quarterfinals to face France, who blanked Belgium earlier today 1-0. Pivotal group stage finale for the U.S. men's national team. They try to advance to the Copa America knockout round facing Uruguay tonight in Kansas City. You can hear all the action beginning at 9 Eastern, Fox Sports Radio Channel 83. This is Chris LaPresta.
If it's happening in sports, it's happening on Sirius XM.
As the top decision makers across the league look to improve their rosters.
They had to make that deal in order to be a championship contender. That would be a huge pickup.
We're covering all the news and every rumor all week long. This is NBA Radio's Free Agency Central.
We're getting a deal. Comedians like Mark Norman, Rosebud Baker, Matt Wright, Michelle Wolf, Shane Gillis, Jessica Gerson, and, more.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Raw and uncensored. We did it. To listen to Raw Comedy, activate your subscription now by calling 844-711-8800 or head over to SiriusXM.com to sign up quickly.
Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
There you go now.
I think I recorded.
Oh, let's see.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 01814.
Grado Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, when it's too hot to sleep, you gotta get up and try to bring the neighborhood together. And that's what I try to do with Big C Sports Podcast. What a beautiful July the 1st, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers. home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sit you, where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide. I think the Supreme Court, they're trying to split as wide as they can. They want to go back to make America great again, where nobody had rights but white men, and that's what it seems like the Supreme Court is trying to do. You can have felonies, and you can run for public office and strip away women's rights and civil rights and all that stuff, as long as you make America great again. And some people are so foolish, they're willing to have a dictator being a part. It's called Project 2025. Google Project 2025. I said Google Project 2025 may lightning strike. If you don't Google Project 2025, you got to realize this is not your favorite time of the year when people are always getting into politics. But if you don't get into knowing what's going on, you might just realize that someday you wake up and you don't have the rights that our ancestors fought so hard to create more inclusion in this country. I got some NBA talk. A lot of guys are signing. They're already getting their reparations. A few good people are getting contracts. $100 million. Could you imagine people saying no to $100 million because they're making so much money? I will not tolerate anything less than $300 million. NBA basketball owners, of all your organ minds. But if the owners can pay that kind of money, that tells you what they're getting from TV revenue. That's the plan I want. I want the deal. Maybe the NBA owners can negotiate reparations. They're giving every black man $100 million. Me like this, right? My goodness, let the NBA negotiate reparations, because they're not waiting for some march. They're not waiting for executive order. They're saying, do you believe in miracles? The NBA, I'm going to put them in charge of reparations, because they're not waiting to have another march. They're not asking for another meeting. They're not asking for another committee. They're giving guys $300 million to play basketball. Not going to make them a better player, but if they get the players together, get all the money you can get. But think about how much money the owners have, but they can give a player that amount of money. Is amazing. They're just giving away like handshakes nowadays. I want to say, I want $300 million. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I could also use more laughter in my life. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. Jason Tatum for 3. Yes, get the hole in your life. The Splash Brother, Klay Thompson, he's going to splash down in Texas. I said Texas. He's going to go from the Golden State down to the Lone Star State in Texas and do his thing with Luka Doncic and the great Kyrie Irving. We'll see if Klay still has that same jump shot. I would have thought they could stay together in Golden State, but they broke up the band the same way Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5, they broke up the band. I think it's Randy, Marlon, Jermaine, Tito, and Jackie. And then Michael decided he wanted to go do his own thing, and it was never the same. But I wish Klay Thompson the very best. I just wish that they would have found a way to keep him in Golden State, but that's just wishful thinking. I want to say the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. It's streaming on 4 TV platforms, and then on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. And number 10, I never missed a show since joining Big C Sports, or actually creating Big C Sports with the crew back in the days at Salem Media. And now we have people who miss a day in practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. Oh my goodness, there's so many people still talking about the debate last Thursday with President Biden and Donald Trump. And no matter what people think, I don't think people change party lines too much based on a one performance. You look at 3.5 years versus 90 seconds or 90 minutes. And how do you have so much going against you and you're the best we can do as a country? And then, obviously, people have their own opinion. I say, if you vote for reparations, I'm voting for you. If you don't vote for reparations, then I'm not really down for you. We'll just let things be what they are. And that's my point. I want the Just Act for descendants of child slavery. I want the Just Act for descendants of child slavery by any means necessary. And good people can make that happen. Having some progress in California, where they've already set aside $12 million for more lining up for reparations. I really do appreciate that. That was just announced over the weekend. But I also want to say what I love doing is I pay homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Everybody needs help sometime. You know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise. Because we all need somebody to lean on. And it's so good when somebody's leaning back. That's what I love about the Veterans Crisis Hotline. I really do think that when you look at the world of NBA basketball, people can become jaded. Chris Paul's now in San Antonio, no longer with the Lakers. Not the Lakers, but with the Golden State Warriors. And then LeBron James, of course, his son, Bronny James, joined the staff of the LA Lakers. Denver's losing people also. Boston made sure they wrapped up Jason Tatum with the largest contract, NBA contract in history. And then they got two guys making over combined $600 million in their contract with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. What a day to be a Celtic. What a day to be a Celtic. They can create their own bank, if that makes sense to you. The bank of Tatum and Brown, if that makes sense to you. Get that some praise. The bank of Tatum and Brown. Get that some praise if they can do that. There's so much going on in the world of sports. People are getting ready for the Olympics starting up over in Paris. So all the people are getting ready. Of course, it's a year-round endeavor, but a lot of Sha'Carri Richardson, she's making some noise. Obviously, people are looking forward to seeing her run. But I do want to say there's so much about basketball with all the major players getting contract that's beyond. It's like out of this universe. Happy for the players. Get what you can get. Who's going to go to these games? Who's going to fill these stadiums? Well, they got to have up prices on everything, on players and tickets and merchandising. But people can only do so much. They'll do it if they want to go. If they don't want to, they won't go. But I do know a lot of the times we think about what's great for the world of sports. And I just love having sports and actually having one eye open for the politics. That determines how the masses of us live. And the other eye open for sports, which is cathartic. It's a way to get away and breathe and relax and have a team to cheer on. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. We do know there's a lot of great things happening. In the month of July, I was seeing the temperature down in Las Vegas. Later this week is going to be 117 degrees for a couple of days. And that's at nighttime. What do you mean nighttime, Big C? Okay, it's at daytime. And then in Northern California, from the Bay Area, about 78 to 80-something degrees. In the inland valleys can approach triple digits also. But you just keep breathing, stay hydrated. All's fair and love and war. Really do appreciate that. I want to get into some things that talk about the sports world and what's really happening in the world of the free agency. There's a lot that's happening. I'll get into that. But you know, I'm one of the very few guys in the history of the universe. I want to talk to the people, good people, you people, about things we can do to make our lives greater again. And I want to make sure that I'm part of that talk when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion and reparations. Because when you think about the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act, that was the State Department of the United States of America that made sure descendants of Holocaust got their reparations. I want them to do the same thing for their descendants of child slavery. We all got to put our hands together and sing in that old Just Act ritual. Reparations now! Reparations forever! I think people would appreciate that more if they sing along with me next time. Reparations now! Reparations forever! That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to say, before I get into the sports, and there's a lot to cover, mostly just NBA players being offered more money. They say more money to leave one team and go to another. Chris Paul let go of Golden State. Klay Thompson out of Golden State. Chris Paul's in San Antonio. And then Klay Thompson signing with the Dallas Mavericks. I guess they like Texas, where it's hot. Where it's hotter than... Are you out here walking by? It's going to be hot down in Texas. But people like the heat. and some people like the cold. I kind of like both, if that makes sense to you. I do want to say I want to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force, because a mine is a terrible thing to waste, and so many things happen in the Golden State that may not happen in other states, because they say that people are a lot smarter in California, and I'm inclined to believe it watching some of the national news programs, if that makes sense to you. I want to thank the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber. She is the amazing Secretary of the State of California, and then also worked with California Governor Gavin Newsom. A lot of talk out there about will Gavin Newsom get closer in political circles. I think for Joe Biden, you just keep pushing. You keep pushing. Someone has 34 indictments, and then someone says he's going to grab women by the PU, blah, 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 blah. And some people don't mind that. They're going to take away women's rights to choose. And then some people say, so they don't want the right to choose. And that's okay. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. People got to do what they got to do. So much about sometimes you have what's called a technical difficulty on your platform. But it's all good. I fix it all. But I do want to say, as I was talking about the California Reparations Task Force, there's a lot going on, a lot of good things happening, and we just got to stand on top of it. Because if we don't stand on top of it, then a lot of people won't, because it won't be covered nationally. But there's more and more people saying that reparations is on the table. There's 3 states, California, New York, and Illinois, that have their own task force. What matters in California happens in California. Nationwide may or may not go along with it, but California is the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world. So there's enough that's happening that's good that I love appreciating. And I love thanking the task force, as I mentioned, the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, Secretary of the State of California, California Governor Gavin Newsom, they mandated the task force. The chair, Camila Moore, she's brilliant. I love giving her praise, and she's just a wonderful, erudite young attorney. I want to thank Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He's also appeared on the Big C Sports podcast. I want to thank California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He also helped craft name, image, and likeness to help college student athletes get paid on their name, image, and likeness. Also, the Ebony Alert that helps law enforcement put the same amount of resources into finding missing black children as the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children, if that makes sense to you. He's also part of the California Reparations Task Force that presented to the Senate and the legislature, and I really do appreciate him. I want to thank Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Dr. Michelle Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Attorney Lisa Holder, who's a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California, Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Give him all praise. I say give him all praise, praise, praise. So many things in life are important, and we got to stick with the right things and people who want to do right. It's not always easy, but I love saying it's not just my thoughts on reparations. I love people who can listen to some erudite minds before I get into sports, because they got us hooked and they got us bamboozled on sports only. I want to make sure I do my part in elucidating the subject, and later you hear from other bright minds, and you can listen with your attorney, Areva Martin, with your own bright mind.
Not that cash payments by themselves are enough. It's that cash payments is one way to recognize the harm that was done. And it's very interesting when you look at the Jesuit universities, 27 of them, and the work that they've done in this area. They've gone through this very, very exhaustive process to investigate their relationship to slavery. I mean, so much so that they hired genealogists to trace and to find the actual descendants of enslaved people. So, I mean, you have to think about how expansive and, intense and comprehensive this research was. But then you have to also ask yourself, how come these institutions, with all of their resources, never, ever utilized an economist, a statistician, a labor, expert to tell us the value of the wages and the wealth that they accumulated. It just looks like this big gaping hole. So I think the question should be reframed. How come the universities aren't sharing with the families the value of the labor and the value of the wealth that they've accumulated? So people are always asking descendants or survivors, why do you want money? And I think the question should be the opposite. How come you're not coming to us with money? When you think about the 9/11 victims or any victims of a disaster in this country, there's never ever a question about should we compensate them. That is a part of our civil, legal, judicial system. You have a harm, somebody else causes it, you are entitled to compensation. It's never ever challenged except in those examples where Black folks are involved. So I think we have to change the narrative around this question, and rather than, and not suggesting you're doing this, but oftentimes families or individuals who are seeking compensation are put on the defensive as if they've done something wrong. No fault of our own. We did nothing wrong. And if you worked for me, I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, if you worked for me and I never paid you, you would have recourse. You would be able to go to a labor board. You'd be able to go into our courts and demand your labor be compensated. You'd be able to get penalties against me for not compensating you. You'd be able to get interest on those wages that I didn't pay you. So again, this isn't like new to capitalism. This is how our country is built. This is how we operate today. You work, I pay. Let's be clear. So our request in terms of compensation restitution is not the total amount that was calculated. We calculated that amount because we felt like it needed to be a part of the conversation. It's on the table. We're not asking them for $74 billion. We're asking them to consider the value of that slave labor in the same way they are considering other aspects of their relationship with enslaved people. What we hope to get out of it is, first, that descendants are literally put back on this committee, that this is no longer a university exclusive committee, that the descendants are there at the table, that they commit to a timeline. Loyola University of Maryland went through this process and wrapped their work up in 2 years. So you can Google them and see what they've done in 2 years. We're into year 5, and we've not even sat down and talked about a plan. So we also hope that there's a commitment to wrap this work up in some foreseeable future, 6 months, 12 months, that it not just go on indefinitely. And then we are asking that the plan that is developed includes not only some of the things that we see in this work, monuments, things that give attribution to those who helped build this university, curriculum changes, projects that help the community. One thing we realized, so many people in St. Louis is a small city, 300,000 people. I live in Los Angeles now. They're like, 12 million people where I live. So few people had even heard of this work. So another part of what we're hoping that comes out of this is some resources spent educating people about this work, because people in that very community don't know. And then, of course, some kind of financial restitution for the labor, for the wages that have been uncompensated for this period of time.
Now, you heard attorney Areva Martin, and she is an excellent intellectual and civil rights attorney. How can you disagree with what she said? If you're harmed, we live in a country, you can seek a remedy.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there. because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America, and it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now, reparations forever. Reparations now, reparations forever. I love saying that because it just makes me feel good knowing that we can do more than just watch sports or listen to sports. But I also got to say, I have a special infomercial that I've been working on, and I've been trying to make some changes to it. Some people say I talk too fast. Other people say I talk too slow. But no matter how fast or slow I talk, I want to make sure that you get it. And the reason I repeat it because repetition is the mother of all learning. And I have a program that I want to talk about that's really growing by leaps and bounds. I had a great meeting with some companies on Friday in Dimdare Hills, California, and taking this program nationwide, if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to do my best to tell you I have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, resource development consulting in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of attorney George Jones. The missing link, long-term care, solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience, helping seniors get their benefits, Medicare and You. Taking care of tomorrow in California is called Medi-Cal. Now, the commercial or the infomercial is your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. And find out your options, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. I promise to you specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits. A lot of people don't know how to do that, and RDC team teaches them that. And not only that, protection of your assets without a spend down. You ever have something you want to put a lock and chain over? You go into any kind of business with somebody, you want to sign a contract so you can protect your assets. We do that with the RDC team in California without the spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Not only that, protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program can be for 10 to 40%. Called probate. If you don't have a will and a trust, you're going to have a hard time protecting your assets, if that makes sense to you. especially when the court, you walk in there without your asset protected, then you're at the mercy of the court. You don't want to be at the mercy of the court. You want to have a trust in place, and that trust will take care of you. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Not only that, give that some praise. I say give it praise, but not only that. Protection insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trusts, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care. Avoid probate because they will take all your assets as much as they can. Avoid probate is important. Life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance. A trust protects your fixed assets, your bank account, checking account, savings account, money market account, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed indexed annuities, also your variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRAs, 401ks, and other investments. Let's say you avoid capital gains. How you avoid capital gains, Big C? Use a trust. Say you buy a house for $100,000. People say, what can you buy that house, Big C? Well, let me finish the story. And say in 1 year, that house appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gains. You know you avoid that if your property's in a trust. That's a reason to have a trust in itself. Over 3 decades of experience, attention business owners, find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. When you do, you want to give them some praise. I say give it praise, because we all need somebody to lean on, and it's nice when somebody's leaning back. Now, there's one thing for Big C to tell you why you should trust the RDC team. Because there's a lot of people, they have their own teams that they work with. And that's fine. But what I'm going to tell you, what you get with the RDC team and the Big C team, you get the endorsements of some people that matter. They say, all people matter, Big C. Yeah, that's true. All people matter. But you want the endorsements of people that matter a lot. A whole lot more than those that don't, if that makes sense to you. That's why I want to say with the RDC team, we have a lot of reasons to tell you to trust us. If we can have the endorsement of the California, it's important. You got to hear me up. The California Black Chamber of Commerce, the chairman, Attorney George Jones. We also have, he's at the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation, Attorney George Jones. We also have Mr. Attorney Scott Thibodeau, one of the top estate planners in Northern California, spoke at the event last Friday. We have not only that, Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. He endorses the RDC team. Not only that, we have Miss Cheryl Brown. Now, she's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. Not only that, we have Mr. Ray Dela Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consultant, does it by the book. He had the endorsement of the former CalPERS top legal mind, the late Robert Carlson. He endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits. He endorses the RDC team. Not only that, we have Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, also consultant for the RDC team, also owner of Big C Sports. I endorse the RDC team. Not only that, we have Double O. She's the TAP committee for the National Black Wall Street Project, also consultant for the RDC team, has her own economic awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on Access Sacramento, also KUBU Radio in Sacramento. And she endorses the RDC team. Not only that, people who've had their assets come after and they had a trust, they endorse the RDC team. Is that a new part of the commercial, Big C? Yes, it's a new part of the commercial. Because there are people that say, hey, I think they're being sued. They want to know, can they get a trust now? Well, that would be fraud. We don't want to try to have any type of illegalities. Get your trust before you end up in hot water, especially if you're a business owner. Don't wait until somebody tries to sue you and then run out and try to get a trust. You don't buy car insurance after you have an accident. You buy car insurance before you drive. If that makes sense to you, a smart business person, they don't want to walk around with their asset protected, unprotected, if that makes sense to you. I mean, it's just important. So hopefully, I've gotten some mixed reviews on my infomercial. Some people say, Big C, your infomercial makes a lot of sense, but you talk too fast. I say, okay, well, I'll try to slow down. And just when I decide to slow down, some people tell me, Big C, we love your commercial and your infomercial, but sometimes you talk too slow. I said too slow. You can't worry about what people think. You do the best you can, and you get what you get, and you do the best you can with it. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Give it some praise, but not just right if you don't get that praise. I want to just touch on some things that have happened in the world of NBA basketball. What did Kevin Garnett say? Anything's possible! And then about 16 years later, the NBA free agency, the great Jason Tatum, the Boston Celtics, they agreed to the richest contract in league history. Based on reports coming out by media, fresh off an NBA championship, Boston Celtics star Jason Tatum will receive the NBA's richest contract for saying, "We did it! We did it!" I think Kevin Garnett said it better when he said, "Anything's possible!" But he didn't get the contract that Tatum's about to get. So the 26-year-old, the NBA's winningest franchise with 18 world championships, he agreed to a Supermax extension worth an estimated, he's getting paid almost the kind of money Big C's getting paid, $315 million over 5 years, including the 2029 and 2030 season, according to reports from media sources. Now, the deal supersedes the 5-year, $304 million deal that NBA Finals champion MVP Jaylen Brown received. His teammate signed last season at the largest commitment in NBA history. The co-stars are owed more than $600 million. They can buy a lot of top ramen with $600 million. You matter how many collard greens I could buy with $600 million. You matter how many collard greens and some cornbread that I could buy with $600 million. You know how much salmon and tuna and salad I could eat with $600 million? Well, it pays to deliver wins, and the great Jason Tatum and the great Jaylen Brown, they've led the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals in 2 of the past 3 years. I've heard it like this before. Havlicek inbounds to Russell. Russell goes over to Larry Bird. Larry Bird over to Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum to Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown for 3. Yes! Get in the hole in your life. 18 championships. You got 2 great players that are commanding over $600 million. That must tell you the ownership is pretty well off. In fact, I hear they're changing the ownership in Boston. But the contract has been expected since Tatum made his second consecutive All-NBA first team last season, which made him eligible for 35% of the salary cap beginning in the 2025-2026 campaign. He made his 3rd straight All-NBA first team. For good measure this past season, he led Boston to his 64 wins and 18-loss record as they won championship number 18 in their regular season, and 7 games better than any other team in the league. The Boston Celtics posted the 3rd highest net rating in NBA history. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! It's amazing what's happening. You think about NBA free agency, Klay Thompson moving down to Dallas, NBA free agency 2024. The 76ers spent over $444 million. Tyrese Maxey agrees to a 5-year, $204 million deal. But back to Boston in the Kamchatka City. Boston, you know, you want to go where everybody knows your name. You worth $300 million? A lot of people going to know your name. If they don't know it now, they're going to learn your name. $300 million. I don't know why they got to make this stuff public. All the neighbors going to be asking for some, can I borrow some sugar? Can you borrow some sugar? I guess I got some sugar. Hold on, let me go get it. And the lady says, no, your sugar. You want $300 million? She gonna want your sugar. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. But Boston, they reached a 6-year. Oh, God, they reached 6 of the past 8 Eastern Conference Finals, including 5 in Jason Tatum's 7 years. And he's out of Duke. The coach, Mike Krzyzewski, he's never missed more than 8 games in a season, averaging 23, 7, and 4 on 46, 38, 84 shooting splits for his career. He posted 27 points, and that's something. 8.1 rebounds, 5 assists per game this past season. The Boston Celtics now have Tatum and Brown. Sounds like a law firm. The law firm of Tatum and Brown. You are being represented by the law firm of Tatum and Brown. Tatum and Brown, the law firm. It's amazing I guess they have what Donald Trump calls black jobs because they don't own the Celtics. They just get paid by the Celtics. But when they say it's time to go, they got to go. And that would be a white job when you can write the check and tell people when to come and go, according to Donald Trump. But the Boston Celtics now have the law firm of Tatum and Brown, the backbone of their recent success. They signed through the end of the decade, and both will still be in their early 30s. It's amazing when you think about the stability of the defending champions who can bring their entire playoff rotation back under contract next season. You have the great Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis also signed extensions with the Boston Celtics this past season. And then Derek White, he agreed to a 4-year, $126 million extension today in that Boston Celtics vaunted starting lineup. It could be under contract for at least the next 2 seasons, making them an expensive team and a perennial favorite to get back and do a repeat. I don't know if they'll get a repeat done. Too many moving factors in the NBA. You got Tatum contract as more so of a representation of timing than his status in the league. Anyway, of his all-NBA brethren, also coming off a rookie scale extension, he too will receive the NBA's richest contract. And what a time it is. We talk about reparations now. Reparations forever. I think we should get the NBA to start deciding how we get reparations for descendants of child slavery. Because the NBA heard reparations, yeah, we want to pay our descendants of child slavery. They're giving all this money out to people, and it'd be nice if they gave me that money. And I'm not working. Isn't that amazing? Let's put the NBA in charge of reparations. They don't mind making big payments. And I'm serious about that, too. I'm not even joking. What a time it is. His Celtics, they stormed through the NBA playoffs, sweeping the conference finals and winning each of the other 3 series in 5 games. They went 16-3 in the postseason. That's second only to the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors since the NBA moved to the current 16-win format in 2003. And when you look at Boston, in Faneuil Hall, TD Garden, you have Jason Tatum was the driving force behind the domination, even though I think Jaylen Brown was a little bit better than Jason Tatum because he's a lockdown on defense the way Tatum's not. But even though Brown won both the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the NBA Finals MVP awards, Tatum led the team in points, rebounds, and assists for the entire playoffs. But he wasn't playing the type of defense. Jason Tatum was not asked to lock down Luka Doncic. Jaylen Brown was. So when you're playing arguably one of the top 3 or 4 players in the league offensively, of course it's going to take away from what you do offensively. Jason Tatum didn't have to do that. Jaylen Brown did it. But they're both great players, and they both acknowledge each other. But Tatum led the team in points, rebounds, and assists for the entire playoffs. He dropped 31 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds in a title-clinching win over the Dallas Mavericks. So you want to give them praise. You want to tell them. The Nate Davis Green. The Celtics are who we thought they were. You want to tell them. I want winners. I want people who want to win. And that's what happened awesome. Well, on the other side of the country, say it ain't so. The Golden State Warriors, the great Klay Thompson, he agrees to a 3-year deal for $50 million with the Dallas Mavericks. Sounds like a pay cut. But the Mavericks sent the Warriors 2 second-round draft picks as part of the sign and trade deal. I would have thought that Klay Thompson, part of the championship run that they had in Golden State, they won 4 championships over an 8-year window. I would have thought he would have stayed and retired as a Golden State Warrior. But the great Klay Thompson, he shoots the 3 as well as anybody. Klay Thompson for 3, yes! Get the hole in your life! I think it makes Dallas a better team, though. I know Klay Thompson didn't score any points in their last playoff game. To me, that's an anomaly. If you look at the course of his career, he's definitely an all-star player and a future Hall of Famer. And so will he return to form in Dallas? I think he will. Klay Thompson, a key contributor to the Golden State Warriors dynasty, agreed to a $50 million deal over 3 years. We need to get these guys to decide on reparations. I'm serious. They're signing these guys with all the kind of the vitriol going on. We don't want no reparations. They're getting it as NBA players. Let's have them to the task force in California. They're writing the check. I said they writing the check. They're writing the check. A 3-year, $50 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks. That includes a player option according to media outlets. The deal was part of a multi-team sign and trade deal that was finalized today. And then the Mavericks sent 2 second-round draft picks one in 2025 and another in 2031 to Golden State, the Warriors, as part of the deal. Now, when you think about what's going on, Golden State, they still have the great Steph Curry. He's got another 4 or 5 years as a great shooter, in my opinion. They have Draymond Green. They tried to get rid of Draymond Green in times. But to get rid of Klay Thompson doesn't make any sense. I think there's more ego involved. They gave Jordan Poole money, $140 million. He's gone. They gave Draymond over $100 million. And they were trying to get rid of him. And Klay, maybe there's some stuff, rumor has it, everything wasn't all kind behind the scenes. But the 34-year-old has averaged 19 points on 45, 41, and 86 shooting splits, 3.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists per game in 11 seasons with the Golden State Warriors, making 5 All-Star appearances and winning 4 championships. Again, look at the players he's played with. The great Steph Curry, the great Kevin Durant, the great Draymond Green, and that's been all in Oakland. Now he's leaving. Of course, Durant came in and left, but the league is about movement. It's a big time. It's a player, Mr. McLeague, but Thompson remains one of the league's preeminent shooters. He's dropping 40% of his 9 3-point attempts per game in the past season. He's lost a little bit of a step, both off the dribble and defensively, since missing the 2019-2020 season and then 2020-21 season because he had torn a left ACL and then he ruptured his right Achilles. So he returned from both midway through the 2021-22 season and helped the Warriors to a redemptive title in 2022. They beat Boston in 6 games. They were down 2-1, and they closed out 4-2. So Thompson's workload has decreased even as he fires near double digits threes per game. His usage rate fell to about 24%. He attempted fewer shots per 14.7 than he had since his rookie season. Remember, they had Andrew Wiggins also and Kuminga. They had guys coming off the bench that they were trying to work in with Coach Steve Kerr. So it may have looked like his season was a little bit down some. I still think he's a great shooter. I think Dallas will benefit. He also played fewer than 30 minutes per game for the first time over a full season since his rookie campaign. That's not his fault. That's Coach Kerr trying to get more players involved. So even coming off the bench for a spell, his 18 points per game this past season were inconsistent as ever. But again, Golden State was an up-and-down team. You can't win forever. They've been the most dominant franchise in the NBA the last 10 years. But Thompson is one of the game's all-time great shooters at a time when the game requires a lot of great shooters, often overshadowed by his splash brother, the Golden State Warriors, the great Steph Curry. Now Thompson needs 79 made threes to catch Reggie Miller for 5th place on the career three-point field goal list. He made 268 last season. His 301 in 2023 led the NBA. His career percentage from three-point range is 41.3%. Also ranks among the top 20 in history. And Golden State let him go. Now Thompson is one of the game's best. He's one of the best players. And his bulldog, I'm telling you, Rocker was born on April 20. Having taken a boat to work by the Bay Area, he appreciates life's simpler things. He's not gonna like the heat down in Texas the way you like the cool Bay Area breeze in San Francisco. But at the same time, he seems to like good things for our locker room. And sometimes, obviously, people can get tired of you at times. But he's a great three-point shooter. And I wish him the very best. No matter what you think about Klay Thompson, he's not going to be a Steph Curry because Steph Curry has an image that he is Golden State. But I don't know how they let Klay go. They could have worked it out. Boston Celtics majority owner, Wes Grossbeck, is selling the stake in the team. The Forbes valued the franchise at $4.7 billion in 2023. Some of that Homestead money lineage, if that makes sense to you. So Boston Celtics majority owner is exploring the sale of a stake in the 2024 NBA champion team, and that was announced today. It's amazing when you can talk about having that kind of access to money, and you would think that they've championed more about the talk of reparations. But the franchise was Forbes valued at $4.7 billion in 2023, was purchased by an investment group led by Grossbeck in 2002 for $360 million. And now the Celtics have won 2 championships and reached the NBA Finals 4 times under their current ownership. Last month, Boston, they won their 18th NBA title. 18. Now, they're one better than the LA Lakers now. The Lakers are, I won't say stuck at 17, but the Lakers have 17, and Boston's in a position to have a repeat. It doesn't mean they will, but they're in that position. So, last month, the Celtics won their 18th NBA title in franchise history, beating the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games after going 64-18 during the regular season to ensure the top seed in the playoffs. And then the team that beat them, the Miami Heat, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Indiana Pacers to reach the finals. Boston is good. They're in for the long haul, and I think they'll be just as good next year. Maybe not as good because there might be a little bit of dip, but I think they'll be just as good. Also report out of Lancaster, California, and Fresno State, and now the LA Clippers. The great Paul George and the Philadelphia 76ers, they agreed to a max $212 million contract in pursuit of an NBA championship. I think they should get the NBA in charge of reparations now. Reparations forever. They're giving out over $1 billion to African American athletes. They need to be in charge of reparations. So Paul George is signing to a maximum 4-year, $212 million contract to join the Philadelphia 76ers. And he joins them, the team featuring 7-time All-Star 2023 MVP, the great Joel Embiid, and All-Star point guard, the great Tyrese Maxey, the reigning NBA Most Improved Player, who agreed to a 5-year, $204 million contract on Monday. The addition of the great Paul George, it resets the balance of power in the Eastern Conference, where the 76ers seek to join the champion Boston Celtics as contenders for the NBA titles. Will they get there? I still think Boston has a better team. George hasn't played healthy of late. Doesn't make it through 81 games of the season. But when you think about it, a 6'8" wing, George remains one of the league's premier two-way players. At 34 years old, he's averaging 23 points, 5.2 assists, actually 5.2 rebounds, and 4 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. He shoots 47% from the field, a career high 41.3 from 3 last season with the LA Clippers. There's a lot going on in NBA basketball. Players moving, changing zip codes, but they're getting that reparations money. And that's what we need people to understand that is there. But the owners, they have the white jobs. As Donald Trump says, the athletes have the black jobs. Because he says the black jobs are the ones where you don't own the team. And then the transactions, when you think about it, the most significant of the NBA offseason since teams were permitted to negotiate with players from other franchises. Starting Sunday, George, a 9-time All-Star and 6-time All-NBA selection. He opted out of his final year of his contract with the LA Clippers on Saturday, and the Clippers announced Sunday that negotiation with Paul George had failed and that he was not going to return to the team and play for coach, or actually the ownership, Baltimore, who's worth about $40 billion. Man, the NBA should start championing reparations with this kind of money coming in. So would George help deliver a title to Philadelphia along with the great Joel Embiid? I don't think so. You have Maxey at the post and the point guard, and George completes one of the NBA's most formidable big threes. Though health will remain a concern, George played 74 games in 2023-24, but had not played more than 56 games in any of his prior 4 seasons. So he's had a problem staying healthy. Will they win a championship in Philadelphia? I don't know. It's a miss-or-make league. I know the New York Knicks have gotten better. Boston is still the favorite, in my opinion, to repeat as NBA champions, but it doesn't mean they're going to. A knee injury derailed Embiid's MVP defensive last season, limiting him to 39 games, plagued by injuries throughout his career. The great Joel Embiid has never played more than 68 games in a single season and has played in 51 games or fewer in 6 of the last 10 seasons since the 76ers selected him with the number 3 pick in the 2014 NBA draft. Can you really count on him to stay healthy? If both can remain healthy alongside Maxey, the 76ers project as one of the top contenders for the NBA title, then everything is possible. You got to look at the Clippers. George spent 5 seasons with the Los Angeles Clippers alongside fellow All-Star Kawhi Leonard, and the Clippers acquired George via 2019 trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And with the Thunder, the Lightning, Thunders are good too. And hoping that he and Leonard could deliver a franchise championship for the Clippers. That didn't happen. So Los Angeles, they sent Oklahoma City a blockbuster package that included 5 first-round draft picks, 2 pick swaps, Danilo Gallinari, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who's developed into a two-time first-team All-NBA selection and MVP finalist. No matter what you think about any team in the NBA, players, they have what Donald Trump calls black jobs. You know, jobs where you don't own anything. That's why a lot of these players are being traded around. You got to think about it. The Clippers made several reported moves at the onset of free agency Sunday, but none that will counter the departure of the great Paul George. Los Angeles reportedly agreed to a re-signed former MVP point guard James Harden, in addition to reaching terms with former Dallas Mavericks forward Derrick Jones Jr. They also reportedly agreed to terms with former Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr., who returns to the NBA following a one-year absence after facing domestic assault charges. Anyone going through that crap, call 911. But per negotiations, the Clippers negotiated with Paul. They failed month after negotiation, and now he's going to move over to Philadelphia, where he wants to be happier. There's a lot going on in NBA. I say if we could get the guys signing those $300 million contracts to sign reparations now, reparations forever, that would be great for the NBA. That'd be great for reparations. We just got to get our African Americans the champion for reparations, the way our governors do in different cities in different states in California, is included with New York and also Illinois. I wish the very best to all these great players. I know we're coming up on a 4th of July holiday weekend, and so I may, for whatever it is, people stay healthy. The heat index in California been a little bit warm, but you get used to the heat. It's part of life. I'd rather have hot than frozen temperatures and the frozen tundra. But as it is, I wish everybody the very best. Of course, reparations is on my mind, and I love covering sports, and that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, I love paying honor to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandparents, Mama and Pop, love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. Then I could always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Dear mama, always saying rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. Started a Head Start program and a food program, and also coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. The best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches, owned 2 gas stations in Oakland, and also owned 40 acres of land. I was 8 years old, walking through the hallway. About 10 o'clock at night, I felt someone touch me on my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing, Grandma? It's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man? Going to get some cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." And a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long time. Love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure planes can fly high so we can stay safe at night. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. And then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying go forward, ever voracious reader. He would say always go forward. Don't look back because you don't have much backside anyway. I said, I like my backside. He didn't think my backside was big enough, but to me, I think my backside is just fine. I like my assets, if that makes sense to you. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back in the days of Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. Normally they go to ESPN, but because of 2 black men in the crew, they started doing their things on the Salem Media Network, the Wall Street Business Network. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God. Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, every day a good man. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for the Big C Sports Podcast on players and teams. One day, Malcolm said, "Dad, why don't you just Google it?" And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. Now I'm on 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms. One day Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. Well, that's before it was even on the air. And now we're streaming on 4 TV platforms, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm always trusts God, Isaiah 54:17. You can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. I pray that no weapon formed against me will prosper. And then Big C was all that wealth and knowledge over the years. Like my great-granddaddy coming out of that barn saying, you got to believe, saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say, welcome to the show. Has been nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no three-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. And they say that's how you talk to God. And that's why I scream so loud. Because I want God to hear it. God, I too want $300 million. Like Jason Tatum just got for the Boston Celtics. Even got to eat more spinach. I want to go where the bank knows my name. That makes sense, dude. Oh my goodness, I just love doing Big C Sports Podcast. I love it, and I hope that people can find a way to live out their dreams and get your prayers answered if that makes sense to you. As I always say, you need more LEADER in your life. LEADER is an acronym for love is the answer. If you're gonna drink, don't drive. If you're gonna drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off. But don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. The life you save may be your own, or someone you love, or someone who loves you, or someone that someone else loves. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As my beautiful mother always says, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If anybody's smacking you, I only hit you because you make me mad. Call 911. If somebody's kicking you, I only kicked you because you made me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you out, I only choked you because you made me mad. Call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that crap. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. And things change when the police call. I want to say, back by a popular demand. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to chant for reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. Well, as you know, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to leave today's show with a clear message to the next election for anyone looking to become the president. Follow what California's doing. You got to sign up reparations now. Reparations forever. Oh, you got to say it louder than that. You got to champion reparations now. Reparations forever. Say it with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. You got to champion reparations now. Reparations forever. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super fantastic day.